It is a calm spring morning. On an ordinary street in an ordinary Italian city, a group of agents is ready. They whisper the countdown. 3, 2, 1. At that exact moment, while an apartment is being searched in the province of Milan, the same scene unfolds in Madrid, Berlin, Amsterdam, Bucharest, and even Miami. It is April 4th, 2023. Operation Cookie Monster begins. The largest coordinated global crackdown ever carried out against a digital black market. The target has a name that, until then, the public had never heard of: Genesis Market. But in reality, Genesis had already entered the lives of millions. Hidden in emails, in online accounts, in smartphones, in banking logins, an invisible marketplace with a single clear purpose: to sell digital identities.
An international police operation has shut down what's believed to be one of the world's largest online markets dealing in stolen identities. Genesis Market offered more than 2 million identities for sale, with prices ranging from 70 US cents to hundreds of dollars, depending on the nature of the stolen data.
The first traces of its existence go back to 2018. No buzz, no announcements, just a quiet link posted on forums used by hackers and cybercriminals. But clicking that link didn't take you to the dark web. It led to a perfectly visible website, accessible from any browser. The catch? You needed an invite code. Without it, there was no way in. The interface was surprisingly clean, organized, almost professional. One user described it like this: "It looks like Amazon, but they're selling people." No one really knew who was behind it. Some investigators pointed to developers in Eastern Europe. Others suggested a broader group spread between Russia, the Netherlands, and Latin America. But one thing was certain. From the start, Genesis had a clear mission: to turn digital identity into profit like never before. The method was simple but devastating: infect, collect, sell. The information was harvested through some of the most notorious malware in the world of cybercrime: Azerolt, Redline, Raccoon Stealer. 3 names, 3 different ways to strike: a fake PDF, a malicious browser extension, a deceptive software update. That's all it took. Once inside the computer, they collected everything: saved passwords, cookies, browsing history, access credentials, screenshots, autofill data. Azerolt was the oldest: fast, hungry, straight to the point. Redline was the most widespread: a credential-stealing machine sold on subscription, almost like Netflix. Raccoon was the easiest to use: buy it on the dark web, run it, and it does the rest. These were the tools that stocked the virtual shelves of Genesis. Every stolen identity, every file for sale, passed through their hands. Every successful infection produced a bot, a package, a digital clone of a person. Inside, everything was included: session cookies, saved passwords, banking access, crypto wallets, social media, geolocation, even phone numbers and work accounts. As long as the infected device remained online, the bot stayed updated in real time. It was like someone could live your digital life in your place without ever needing to break in. On Genesis, these bots were sorted by price, by value, by region. The more services included, the higher the price. Today, your identity is no longer defined by who you are, but by what you own online. How many subscriptions you have, how many accounts you manage, how many cookies you leave behind. In just a few months, Genesis stops being a novelty and becomes something else entirely.
Known as Genesis Market, the site sold login details and other personal data, allowing criminals to log into people's bank accounts and other services. 2 million people may have fallen victim to the fraudsters around the world.
A central hub in the world of cybercrime, a go-to destination for those trading on the digital black market. At first glance, it looks like just another marketplace, but behind its clean and polished interface hides something much darker. Genesis sells the invisible. Every listing is a complete digital profile, not just a username and password, but an entire online identity. Some profiles cost only a few dollars, others reach thousands. But the real power doesn't lie in what you buy, it lies in how you use it. Each buyer receives a small file, a browser extension called the Genesis Security Plugin. And that's the genius part. Once installed, the plugin perfectly recreates the victim's digital environment: the device fingerprint, screen resolution, system language, time zone, active cookies, browsing history, geolocation, IP address, everything. To security systems, it doesn't look like a hacker. It looks like the same person using the same device from the same location. No password is needed, no SMS code, no alerts, no trace. It is the perfect scam, silent, impersonal, invisible. A digital passport you can replicate with a single click. You can become anyone, anywhere. And while you move through someone else's digital life, they remain unaware. You don't need to be a hacker or a tech expert. Just choose the country, the type of access. Pay in crypto. Genesis takes care of the rest. Meanwhile, as someone wakes up in the morning to check their email, someone else has already read it hours earlier from another continent.
Genesis is kind of the Amazon of hacker markets. Now, we've heard about these dark web markets for a long time that sell exploits and drugs and but Genesis is a slick and very easy to use version of that.
Back in 2018, Genesis was still a rough concept, a niche forum, a testing ground for digital criminals, but by 2019, it was growing fast. Early buyers returned, sellers multiplied, the number of bots exploded. Then came the pandemic, and with it, the perfect opportunity. As the world moved online, Genesis expanded rapidly. At its peak, the platform hosted more than 2 million digital identities. 2 million lives compromised, sorted, and sold. In total, more than 80 million unique credentials. Usernames, passwords, cookies, access to bank accounts, emails, social networks, even government portals. The victims were everywhere. A bank employee in Toronto, a university student in Tokyo, a freelance worker in Italy, a public official in Colombia. Every profile was used, exploited, drained. Some were burned in minutes, bank accounts emptied, cards cloned, crypto wallets wiped clean. Others stayed dormant, silent, invisible, waiting in the shadows until the right moment to be activated. In just a few years, Genesis became an entire criminal ecosystem, a pillar of the deep web. Some even called it the Google of digital identity. It offered everything: a search engine, price comparisons, customer support, reviews, just like any online store. Except here, it wasn't products being sold, it was people. And for every bot sold, somewhere in the world there was a victim who still didn't know they had been robbed. Genesis was not just a market, it was a global parasite, invisible, voracious, growing every day, too big to stay hidden any longer. But its fall didn't come overnight. The end of Genesis market began quietly, months before anyone realized it, just like Genesis itself, always operating in the dark. Toward the end of 2021, disturbing signs begin to emerge. Massive numbers of compromised accounts, yet no warning signs. No two-factor authentication prompts, no suspicious login alerts, just disappearances. Of money, of identities, of control. Investigators begin to connect the dots, and all paths lead to one name: Genesis Market. That's when the hunt officially begins. A coalition unlike any before is formed. FBI, Europol, and special forces from 17 countries. The mission has an ironic yet fitting name: Operation Cookie Monster. The objective is clear: dismantle the entire digital crime supply chain. Genesis is an elusive target, hidden behind encrypted invitations, shadow servers, and invisible handlers. But every identity sold leaves a trail, and investigators decide to follow it. Every piece of malware becomes a breadcrumb, every breadcrumb a clue. By early 2023, the private sector joins the fight. Specialized companies like Trellix and Chainalysis analyze Genesis's infrastructure. They search for vulnerabilities, patterns, digital fingerprints. Meanwhile, undercover agents infiltrate the network. No one knows how, no one says when, but eventually they succeed. The strike is surgical. The FBI gains access to Genesis's servers, its internal systems, and most importantly, to the core of it all, the complete database. Users, activities, wallets, browsing history, over 59,000 profiles. With that data in hand, the takedown begins, name by name, seller by seller, from petty scammers to major figures in global organized crime. The net begins to close. It requires precision, coordination, and most of all, silence. Authorities across 17 countries start preparing for the final move. Encrypted video calls, search warrants, task forces on standby. The operation must launch everywhere at the exact same moment. The date is set, April 4, 2023. One shot, no room for escape. If even a single piece of information leaks, Genesis could vanish into thin air. But nothing leaks. At dawn, the trap springs simultaneously. London, Rome, New York, Budapest. Special forces raid their targets. Computers are seized, identities exposed. Over 200 searches, more than 120 arrests in a single day. Anyone trying to access Genesis finds the site gone. In its place, a seal appears. The FBI logo surrounded by the emblems of 17 international agencies. Genesis Market is finished, officially seized. The marketplace that once offered access to millions of digital lives disappears overnight. And in the cybercrime world, panic sets in. Those who used it wonder, did I leave a trace? Is my name in that database? Will the police come knocking? For criminals, it's an earthquake. For authorities, a historic victory. We hit one of the pillars of global cybercrime, says Europol. We eliminated one of the key tools of the illegal economy. Genesis Market was the weapons cache of stolen identity. Now it's just a name in court files. A victory never seen before, proof that even cybercrime can be targeted, dismantled, defeated. Right after the raid, authorities launch a powerful yet simple website. Check your hack. Just enter your email address to see if it was compromised and sold on Genesis. One click, and behind that inbox, an abyss might open. Because the identities sold weren't just those of politicians, executives, or officials. They were ours too, ordinary, unseen, exposed. And yet, despite the operation's success, one big question remains. Who created Genesis Market? No names, no faces, only nicknames, masked IPs, fragments of code. So far, no one has paid for building one of the foundations of the global underground economy. But something is shifting. Months after the takedown, rumors begin to circulate. According to some analysts, Genesis may not be truly dead. It might have been sold in secret just before the raid, a transfer of ownership, a quiet rebranding, a silent mutation. Maybe this isn't the end. Maybe it's just the beginning of a new face, a new name, another identity.